Good shit. Good shit. We had a boring episode on Friday to lead up to the mess. And the way this episode really ended, it set the tone for tomorrow. Tomorrow gonna be crazy. Crazy. But this one right here was good. This was good. Y'all, if you're new here, hit subscribe. Do it right now, free of charge. Turn the post notifications on all because we're going to be here every single day for the rest of the season. We're going to be here for Beyond the Villa. We're going to be here for Love Island Games. So if you're here for that, hit subscribe right now. Do me a solid. I'm on the road to 10K. We get real close. I think we like maybe 1,300 away. Join the party. Join the crew. We be having a ball down here in the comments. Thumbs up the video. Do that as well. It helps so much. Let's try and get like 500 to 600 likes on this. This shit was crazy. I'm about to be talking for a minute. So get in them comments as well. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. I got my water, y'all. If y'all know I be needing to be hydrated because we going to be talking, and I got it. But let's go. All right, so we get back where Hannah and Pepe, they come back from the speakeasy where they was up there in each other's mouth. For real. So they come down there with the group that was sitting down there at the table in the middle of the yard, and Nick ends up telling Pepe, you got some lipstick on your face. They all start laughing. Pepe sitting there talking about something, it's mine or whatever. I guess he was saying like either makeup or whatever too, because Nick ends up talking about that. But Nick ends up asking how was it, but Pepe ends up walking away. So as he's walking away, Austin's walking away with him too. But Hannah is sitting there, she's giggling and laughing. So Hannah was like, so why would you say that? Nick was like, it was a joke. And Olandria is asking like, what did he say? Like, what did he say? And he ends up telling her that he had told Pepe that he had makeup on his face. And Olandria was like, you said that in front of Charlie? And they're like, no. So Austin walks away, like I said, with Pepe, and he ends up going to sit with Charlie and Chelley. Austin does. And as he's over there, Olandria is talking to the rest of the group, stating that Austin's probably going to go over there and tell Charlie. Olandria is smart. She's smart. But Nick seemingly didn't understand, or at least didn't know that they was up there tonguing each other down, even though he said what he said. But now he's piecing two and two together. But Austin walks over there to where Chelley and Charlie are, and they're still talking about pretty much Chelley giving him a pep talk on what to do about don't be assuming that she's up there kissing him as she was up there kissing him. But of course, he ends up stating that Nick and Austin ends up stating to them that Nick had pretty much said, Pepe, there's some lipstick on your face. And I'm like, you sitting here just being messy. Like, it's just crazy. He says he walked away because he couldn't stand the whole messy conversation, but you sitting over here being messy. But Hannah is telling them that she called the speakeasy her and Charlie's makeout room. But now Charlie's pretty much now walking over to them now, and he's asking what's going on, but he ends up asking to pull Hannah for a chat. So Olandria and Amaya, they're sitting next to each other talking about something they want to go over there and spy. But Jalen ends up stating, so what's he going to do now? Olandria says, I mean, it's still early. Like, the whole week 2 situation is week 2. Like, if they was up there kissing, it's week 2. It's early, and she didn't do anything wrong, essentially. And I'm like, she ain't doing anything wrong. It's just the way she's going about it. She's moving about it in a sneakily fashion. And it's just like, we'll get to it later on, too, because she blew me later on. But the way she's moving is, it's like she's acting like she's doing something wrong because she's moving so sneaky. Like, she's not doing anything wrong, exploring other connections. But we're going to get to it. I don't want to jump the gun. But Charlie and, Nick, I got to talk about this too. Nick ends up asking Olandria, like, how she would feel if what did he say? He said, if I was doing the same thing, if I kissed Iris, how would you feel about it? And Olandria said the same thing. It's week 2. But Charlie and Hannah, they're having their conversation. He ends up asking her how the chat was. She ends up telling him that she wants to tell him everything. And he was like, yeah, you can. No judgment. So she starts playing with her hair, stalling before she can tell him that she was kissing him. And she starts covering her face and doing all this. I'm like, get it out. But that just proves that you feel like you did something wrong because you can't tell him that you was up there kissing him without doing all this dramatics. So she ends up saying that she wants to tell him everything. And he says, you can. She then tells him that they kissed. And he was like, it is what it is. In her face, he was basically like, it is what it is. I'm not too bothered by it. But he was bothered by it in his confessionals. But he was like, he better not be a better kisser than me, just joking about it. But he ends up stating to her, you're grown. Like, you can do what you need to do to figure out what you got going on. But he then says in his confessionals, how can I be intimate with her when I know that she's been up there doing that? She then says that she does really like him, but she'd be lying if she was to say that she wasn't. She's talking about she really likes Charlie, but she'd be lying to say that she wasn't intrigued by her and Pepe's chat. She didn't say that, and she didn't do this, but I said this because they weren't talking about shit. Like, they was not talking, and when they was talking, it was barely any dialogue. They spent more time kissing. But Austin and Chelley, they're having a conversation, and he's talking about how he feels himself pulling back. The same old conversation they've been having. Like, these two, I'm getting tired of these things. But he's saying that he's pulling back and wants to see where her head is. She says the same shit she's been saying. She's interested in both of them. He ends up stating that all he hears is Ace and Chelley, and that makes him not want to continue to pursue it, essentially. And Shelley's like, Ace has been putting in the effort. Like, same shit I've been saying. But she then says that her and Austin have a great connection and they hang out, but is that it? And she then says in her confessionals that she loves how Ace is confident in his position, basically stating like Ace is not really worried about what Austin is doing. Like, he's doing what he wants to do when he is courting her. He's not thinking about Austin. He's not needing constant reassurance that Chelley is feeling him or whatever. And he doesn't need reassurance to do stuff. Whereas Austin always needs that reassurance and he's always questioning himself. That's what I've been saying. That's why I don't feel bad for Austin. Austin, you a grown-ass man. Like, you a grown-ass man. If you was like 16, 17 years old and just now starting to date a woman and not knowing what to do, then, I mean, I will give you the tools. I'd be like, okay, well, I feel bad for him. But you a grown-ass man. If you don't know how to court a woman, if you get your woman stolen, that's on you. That's on you. But they hug, and Jeremiah and Huda, they talk about their morning that they had, and he's addressing the pancakes, and she ends up cutting him off, talking about it's not about the pancakes. And she was like, I was expecting you to wake up after the conversation that we had and essentially change. That's basically what she was stating. He makes a face, and she's asking him why he's rolling his eyes, and he says, I feel like I'm being tested, and you acting like you in hell. She is. And this is like what I said Friday. She acting like he's supposed to court her, but because you were so easy, let's call it what it is, you were so easy to get, you gave it to him real quick. And when I say gave it to him, I'm meaning that in every instance of the phrase. You gave him that quickly. What more does he have to work for? Why does he have to keep proving anything to you? That's your own fault. Take the shit up with you. That's why I don't feel bad when it comes to like her wanting to be courted and Jeremiah not doing it. What have I told y'all? The woman that's easy, why am I going to put in any effort? The woman that's making me work to get her attention and get whatever else comes with her, she's going to make me work for it. She's going to make me want to pursue her, do things for her. That's your own fault, Huda. You should take that shit up with yourself. But he ends up stating like what happened today shouldn't have caused this much damage. And she's stating, I'm not giving up and I haven't given up. And he says he hasn't either. You need to, truthfully. But she didn't ask him how his conversation with Iris was because he was happy dancing when they finished. And she then mentions that when she walked in, he was sticking his tongue out and whatever. And he was like, we had a good chat. Like, she expressed her interest. And she says, I knew she was interested in you. I mean, obviously. But he then says that he had said that they had a rough, this right here, Huda, and Jeremiah. They both pissed me off. And I'm going to explain why. He says that we had a rough morning. He told her that he had a rough morning, but that's my girl still. We had a rough morning. Like, we was having a little bit of an issue, but that's still my girl. She cuts him off. She said, what did you say? He repeated it. And she says, you never bring up big problems to anybody ever. I don't even fucking know the bitch. Here she go again, calling her a bitch. So bring up problems. Don't be bringing up problems about us. Which, I mean, I understand if you were in a relationship, like long-term relationship. But who the fuck are you talking to? The way she was talking to him was crazy. And he was like, okay. I said, see, absolutely not. Toxic. And he sat there and just looked dumbfounded and just took it and then tells her that she's cute. After she just did all of that, she says, you're toxic. Yes, that is toxic. But you are as well. Y'all are not meant to be together, which is why we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it, but let me hydrate real quick. But he's in his confessionals stating he's going to do whatever he can. He's going to take in the feedback that she gave him. He's going to try to meet that standard, which you're not going to, because that's a standard that just does not exist. And she doesn't even match a standard that you would even have, truthfully. But he says, I mean, if I don't, I don't. Like, it is what it is. And I was like, you can't do it because she just don't love herself. Her standard and what she wants from him is something that she needs to work on within herself. Like, she needs to work on loving herself before she even gets in a relationship. And we all see that that's the main reason as to why these two have been at each other's head, is because she's so insecure. Like, she doesn't love herself enough to be secure in her own self to be in a relationship. But we got Chelley and Ace having a conversation. He ends up asking her how her night has been. She says it's been good. It's been a long night. She ends up talking about the conversation with Austin, and he's like, how did it go? And she was like, do you even care to know about it? He then tells her pretty much like, do you want me to go first? So he then tells her that he's interested in exploring his connections, exploring their connection. And then he tells her that he had a good chat with Iris and he's open to exploring that as well. She says, okay. So then he said that shit to get a reaction from her. And he then asked her, like, what's going through your head? Basically trying to get the reaction. And she was like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I don't like hearing that. That's not what I wanted to hear. Like, what you want me to sit here and say? Okay, go do it. So she says in her confessionals, which I'm so happy she did, and she fell back too. She says, I'm going to take a step back because everybody that walks in here, he want to try and explore a connection with them. And it makes me question what he's really looking for. And let me break this down. Yes, you're supposed to be open to everything. But the way Ace has been pursuing and courting her the way he has, it's like you're now trying to lay foundation to where you actually want to really build towards being serious with her, which is why she's feeling this way. She's feeling this way because you're now putting in a lot of effort towards just her. But the minute something new comes in here, you now want to fully explore that now. You want to keep exploring her, but you want to explore that. But truthfully, last episode, we can speak for that alone. He spent the majority of his day talking to Iris and not talking to Chelley. That's not exploring both of those connections at the same time. So I see where she's at, and I'm like, thank you. You're finally waking up. So he then tells her that he appreciates her being able to listen, and she says, to what? He said, to what I just said. And she said, okay, sure. I'm like, I'm glad she's not showing her cards, truthfully. Like, she told him essentially, like, I didn't want to hear that, but she's not. What she tells Olandria and what she tells us in the confessional, she ain't really saying it to him. And she don't need to, because that's what he wants to hear. He wants her to chase him. But everybody's getting ready for bed. Chelley is telling Olandria about that conversation that she just had with Ace. Olandria's face cracked me up. Chelley's face. I love the way they communicate. And y'all know as black people, we have these little nonverbal cues where we don't even have to say something, but you can already tell just by the way that we just acting and the look on our face. You could tell that was what was going on there. But Iris and Charlie, they're talking in the bed while Hannah's laying right there next. This had me cracking up. But Hannah is sitting there as they're having a conversation. Just a simple conversation, nothing of substance, nothing too concerning. But when they finish, she then looks to him because they laying in the bed together, and she's like, "Are you done? Are you able to talk to me now?" I said, "Please, you was the one up there tonguing down that other. You was up there tonguing him down, but she's sitting here mad because he having a conversation with somebody." But Jeremiah ends up telling Huda in the bed that she can do whatever she wants when the lights go off. Have y'all not been doing everything? But the lights are still on, and I hear a lot of heavy breathing. Somebody was having an orgasm. But the lights end up going off, and Huda is on top of Jeremiah. I said, y'all, zero respect for the people that y'all in the room with. Like, they was fucking, like, clearly. And we found out the next day. Everybody's getting up now as the next day is here. Ace brings Iris breakfast only. This right here, you just told Chelley that you wanted to explore Iris and Chelley still, but you come up here and just bring Iris a piece of, you only brought her a plate of breakfast. If you still want to explore both connections, you bring both ladies a plate of breakfast. But it's like he wants Chelley to chase him so bad. It's like you can tell he wants to get a reaction out of her because she hasn't really given him a reaction. And he's going to do it until she does. And I'm like, Chelley, you need to leave him where he's at. Shout out to Elise. Go subscribe to Elise. We're going to be going live on Wednesday. But like she said, like, you need to, like, don't talk to him ever again. Because he playing in your face, like, for real. But Olandria ends up making a face at Chelley like, fuck this nigga. But Huda is telling them now that she wishes that I could tell. I wish I could tell y'all something that I want to tell y'all, but I can't. Cierra ends up asking if they fucked. And, of course, she starts smiling. Like, I'm like, this can't be the first time that y'all fucked. I'm pretty sure y'all done fucked before. But Charlie ends up telling Nick that he's going to pull Iris for chats today. And Jeremiah goes up to kiss Huda. She then tells him that she loves him. And I feel like she did that on purpose. But she tries to act like she didn't. And Cierra and Chelley made a face like, yikes. Olandria and Amaya were sitting there too, and them two did not make not one. They didn't make a reaction at all. But Charlie and Iris, they're having a conversation. The girls are watching them go upstairs to go have the conversation. And Shelley's telling Hannah that I essentially told him he needs to go explore connections because you're doing the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. What she said is true. But they're upstairs talking. And they're talking about like surface level shit. He talks about her sense of humor, which we haven't seen yet, but okay. They start connecting on some cartoons. I'm not seeing any chemistry. I wasn't really sensing anything there. But Hannah is talking to Taylor now. Talking about I'm about to crash out because Charlie pulled her for a chat. He's talking to her, but you was up there tonguing that nigga down, straddling him, borderline about to fuck him. Y'all was up there hunching. And you mad because he having a senseless conversation with a girl. Just to get to know her. But you about to crack. I'm like, please. These people are crazy. But she then says that she never pulled Pepe. I said, but 2 episodes ago, you essentially were telling Amaya that you basically was off of Charlie. Like, you was bored with him. But she then says that she's sick because she was honest and communicated how she feels and how she had felt. And she feels like she did that for nothing. Because if that's how he's going to move like that, then just because somebody applied a little bit of pressure to me. I said, what do you, like, what? You said just because somebody applied a little bit of pressure your way, he's supposed to just sit there? No, he's supposed to go make connections. Because why would he just sit there and be a sitting duck when you're possibly making a connection that could end up being stronger than his? And if he's sitting there waiting and putting all his eggs in your basket just for you to leave him, where does that leave him? Like, Charlie ain't doing nothing wrong. But Charlie and Iris, they're up there telling each other how good they look. She ends up asking him if he's open, and he says, of course. Hannah's downstairs telling Taylor that she don't want to talk to Charlie. That didn't last. But Olandria and Taylor, they're having a conversation, and one thing about Olandria, the body's always gonna body. She's that woman is beautiful. Like, this episode, it really, really showed out even more, like her bone structure, the way her face, it looked like she's like a Barbie doll. She's like a Barbie doll, and then her body is perfect too. Like she's about as close to perfectly sculpted as you can be. But one thing about her, she gonna always have some heels on. She is a diva. But he ends up asking her how she feels about Jalen. One thing about Taylor, he gonna always ask her about everything but what they got going on. But she ends up saying he's cool. Like, he always reminds me of how beautiful I am, and he tells me that he wants to get to know me. But she ends up telling him that essentially y'all move differently. Like, he lets me know how attracted he is to me. And then she ends up telling Taylor, you might be attracted to me, but you focus on other shit. He's not. Because a man that's really attracted to a woman is going to continue to let you know that. Because the attraction is going to be so there, you can't help but say it. Like, when you got a woman that is just in your face, that is just beautiful and fine, and you are physically attracted to her, you're going to tell her on a lot of occasions, you fine as fuck, you bad as fuck. Like, you gonna say that because you want to say it. And y'all as women know that's what y'all be wanting to say to niggas too. When y'all know that a nigga is looking good, you can be like, man, you look good. So that just tells you everything you need to know about Taylor. But he ends up stating, like, should I off him in his sleep? I'm like, Taylor, please. But he then gets in his confessional talking about he needs to step up his game. I'm like, why? So you don't go home? But he ends up drawing a heart in the sand. I said absolutely nothing was felt from that conversation. It was just like, okay. But Charlie and Hannah, they're in soul ties, and she ends up telling him that she feels like she handled last night very well. Did you? And wanted to be honest and didn't want to have a chat with somebody in front of him. So that's her whole issue, is that he pulled Iris to go talk upstairs. He didn't have a chat with her in front of you. It's not his fault that you were standing there looking as he was walking upstairs to go have a conversation. But that's her whole angle with this whole debacle. She says, I'm fine with you talking to other people, but I don't want it to be like an ego thing. Like, you basically retaliated because I did it. That's your ego speaking. That's not his. You seeing it as, oh, well, I did this, so now he wants to go do this. Even if it is true, that's your issue. Me personally, I can see it being that. But then again, I see it as Charlie, like, okay, well, if she's possibly going to connect with this man, I need to go explore other options too. I can't put all my eggs in her basket if she's not putting them all in mine. So I don't see anything that Charlie did wrong. But he ends up telling her, like, it was nothing flirtatious. Like, we were literally talking about basic shit, which they were. And he then says, I don't understand how you coming at me when you was up there making out with him. I said, hello, hello. But he then asks Kenna if she cares or not, and she starts smiling. What happened to what you just told Taylor? But okay. But they agree to not explore other people in each other's faces now. I said, these two are filler characters. We do not care. But they start ending it kissing, as always. Whatever. But Nick ends up getting a text about the challenge for today. The challenge is called Got Wood. I was going to write the directions down on what it was, but it's pointless. They have a host who is Paige from Summer House. What is with the Bravo connection now? I guess it's because of NBC Universal, but I guess. But essentially, they're going to choose a girl. The guys are going to choose a girl, essentially, to tongue down behind a secret door. So Austin goes up first. They get asked a question, too. I want to say this. They get asked a question, a messy question. They answer the question. They spray some shit at somebody. And then they get to choose somebody that they want to have help them on a log or whatever. I think that was the order. And they basically get to kiss him. And then they got another station where you get to hump a girl or get a girl to hump you. And then you take the one in secret after picking a name off of a bear. But Austin goes up first. He thinks Jeremiah needs to be X from the villa. I said, your punk ass should have said Ace. You know that's the one that you want to be X from the villa because he's the only competition you have. But he went and took the safe bet by saying Jeremiah. Huda sitting there talking about that made her mad. I said, it's a game. It's a game. Relax. Austin then chooses Amaya for Austin to... Jeremiah chooses Amaya to go... Amaya. Jeremiah chooses Amaya for Austin to go grind on. Austin chooses Chelley to be on the log with him. And Austin ends up choosing the beaver from the basket. And guess who it is? Olandria. Olandria was a hot commodity. I'm going to just tell you that now. She was like, oh, we besties. We just going to go back here and just whatever. That nigga was trying to kiss her. That wiggle was trying to kiss her. And they was kissing behind that closed door. But Taylor goes up next. He ends up stating that Ace is boarding his couple. I mean, obviously, that was the easiest choice. Ace ends up sending Huda to go grind on Taylor. That was strategy. She's up there bouncing that thing. As Taylor said, she was throwing it back a little bit too much. She was doing all that, but she gonna get mad. I said, let Jeremiah have some fun and see what she gonna do, which it literally happened, but we'll get to it. Taylor then pulls Cierra to go kiss behind the door. And Sierra's back there making noises, sex noises, but they showed him back there and they banging on the door. Like, Nick goes up next, who Nick has cold sores. Like, he got pimples on his face. He got cold sores, and them cold sores is from all that kissing. But the boy that he feels is pining for somebody else is Ace, obviously. That is so obvious. Ace sent Iris to go grind on Nick. She wasn't really doing anything, but Nick got to pulling that ass back down. Nick is a hoe. But Nick ends up choosing Olandria. Elise, I know Elise going to be like, yes. And a lot of the Twitter folks, like I kind of mentioned it a couple episodes ago. I wasn't seeing it until tonight. I can see Nick liking a little bit of that chocolate. He knows that woman is bad. He knows it. They was back there getting it. He was putting his all into that kiss. He liked him some Olandria. And he said it in that confessional. He ends up stating that she's beautiful. He enjoys kissing her. And he said that she is sexy. Taylor would never say that. But he comes back carrying her over his shoulder. And them cheeks was cheeking. Them cakes was out. But Jeremiah, he ends up going next. He says that Ace has no hope in his couple. I feel bad for Amaya. Like, she low-key broke my heart later on. We're going to get to it in a minute. But I hope she gets... I hope she's here long enough to get somebody. Like, that really wants her. But Ace ends up choosing Cierra to grind on Jeremiah. He was trying to grab it. I was like, go ahead, Jeremiah. But Jeremiah got Olandria back behind their door. And Jeremiah was actually into that case. I was floored. And Olandria wasn't expecting it either. But he was in there. Of course, Huda going over there looking, trying to see behind. I said, it's... I'm like, she's a trip. She's talking about something. Oh, it's like that? I said, okay. But Jeremiah ends up stating that he's here to do the challenge. He said, basically, the last challenges, I kind of like wasn't really involved. I'm trying to show it now. But the way Olandria came back, she came back out of that door looking like she was doing the walk of shame. But the host ends up asking if y'all got anything y'all want to share. They both go like this. They ain't say nothing. Everybody was laughing except for who? Huda. Huda sitting there looking mad as fuck. But the host ends up saying, I guess the secrets can stay stay back there in the cabin. And Huda said, I already saw the secrets. Everybody looking like, here she go. But Ace goes next. He says Pepe needs to be cut down a size. He ends up picking Iris, and he was kissing her on that log. Olandria got picked again, and then they go back there and they kissing too. Jalen goes up next. He ends up stating that Jeremiah needs to branch out from his couple. Exactly. But Huda's mad as fuck. Talking about something, what's wrong with them wanting Jeremiah away from me? Stay in your lane. I said they're his friends. They see that you are not the best fit for him, and they're just telling him subtly. Well, I ain't gonna say subtly now because it's up in everybody's face now. But Jeremiah ends up offering Huda to go grind on Jalen. He says it was a combined decision, but he was the one that said it. He didn't look too upset about having her go do that. I was like, that's telling. But she gets over there and she was over there doing the most. Talking about something, I'm gonna show you what you're not gonna have. He's already had it. But Jalen ends up picking Amaya. He back there gave her a little bit of something and she enjoyed it. He was carrying her out. She said, I felt like a fairy. But Pepe goes up next. He says Austin has no chemistry in his couple. I've been saying that since day one, which is Chelley, obviously, is his couple. He chose Hannah to go get on the log with. They was tonguing each other down. He chose Iris to go behind that door. They was tonguing each other down. Charlie was up last. He says Pepe is his biggest competition, obviously. He ends up choosing Hannah to get on that log with him, and he put his all into that kiss. Got her on the log, got her off the log, got her down on the ground, he was putting his all into it, giving her something to remember. Everybody was cheering. He ends up getting Cierra behind the door. They was back there kissing down. The door ends up opening, and everybody can see them, and they was back there getting it. And she get out talking about something, this felt platonic or something like, it felt like, what did she say? She said it felt like incest or whatever, because they were the two bombshells that came in together like brother and sister. But that was the end of the game. After the game, the boys and the girls, they're now recapping the game. And the boys are talking about how Olandria was the hot commodity. She was the one getting picked. Nick says that he wasn't expecting Jeremiah to go as hard as he did with Olandria. And Jeremiah was like, I felt like I was comfortable doing it today because I've been shying away from doing all this stuff in the challenges previously. Olandria is telling the girls that she ain't kissing nobody for 2 more months because she done been kissing so much today. But Huda says that she wasn't expecting them two, talking about Olandria and Jeremiah, to kiss and didn't want to see it. But Nick ends up asking Jeremiah, does he feel like Huda crashing out basically during that challenge? Do you not find that weird? It's a good question to ask. And Jeremiah ends up stating, like, I can't control what she does. That's not the question. That's not the question about you being able to control it. It's the fact that she does that every fucking challenge. And then Nick then says, in my opinion, in the outside world, is that overprotectiveness going to be a problem to you in a relationship? It would be with me. Like, the way she acts is she's a walking red flag. And Jeremiah is like, I want to feel bad for him, but I can't. Like, he's okay with that shit, and it's weird. But Pepe ends up asking him a very good question. Say you were to tell her you're going out with the boys. Do you think she'll be blowing your phone up all the time, aka she don't trust you? Like, and she absolutely would. It's clear she would, because that's why she asked him the other night about that location. She don't trust him. She said, I have trust issues with people. I have a problem trusting people. Red flag. Go get some therapy. But Pepe ends up stating that, and Jeremiah ends up stating like they'd have to have a chat about that. But he said, I'm not too worried about it at all. They all sitting there looking at him like he's stupid. Every last one of them boys. Jalen and Olandria have a conversation. They end up talking about the challenge, her getting picked so many times. He ends up asking her about her and Taylor. She's like, everything's the same. He ends up stating like, okay, well then may the best man win. So he then says, since I didn't get a kiss in the challenge, can I get a kiss now? He's all about consent. I respect you for that, brother. Respect you for that. That is the most respectful way that you can do it. It's the most respectful way to get to know a woman and court that woman and make progress. You get her consent. She says, yes, it was a peck. It was a peck. Olandria, as we know, she's all about the baby steps. Yes, she wants that, but she's all about, and she's going to explain it later on, but she's all about getting to know that person here first before really getting into that physicality, which I respect. But Hannah and Pepe, they're in soul ties, and he's pretty much asking her where her head is at. She's stating that she's figuring it out. Charlie is over there having a conversation with Amaya. He wants to now see what options he has over there with her. So he starts talking about how he and Hannah had essentially moved too fast. And he asked Amaya if she's open to seeing if there's something there, because the first day that they were together, or at least the first day that Amaya had came, him and her had kind of had a conversation and might have had a connection. Amaya says, this is where Amaya about broke my heart. She about broke my heart. Amaya then says, it's a sticky place to be in because me and Hannah are so close. As we know, they came into the show together. And she says, if it wasn't serious between y'all two, we might be able to explore it. So he then says, I don't think that we are. Essentially, I don't think it's that serious. So she then says that she thinks that y'all are essentially it's a little bit shaky between y'all. Talking about Hannah and Charlie. He's stating that she's probably upstairs making out right now with Pepe. Do y'all think she was? Abso-fucking-lutely. That's all they was doing. Pepe and Hannah don't have any kind of connection outside of them being in each other's mouth. And I told y'all that on Friday, which is why it was a waste of a vote to vote for them. But we'll get to that in a minute. But Amaya ends up stating, I'm not saying that you're acting out of emotions, but everything that's going on between the three of y'all, maybe you're being impulsive. And she's like, doing that to Hannah essentially would be the biggest betrayal that I could do to her. And I just don't have that in me to do that. And I'm like, Amaya's such a good girl. I'm like, you could tell she's a good girl at heart. She'll cuss your ass out, and she is a little bit wild and a little bit spicy. Well, you can tell at heart she is a really, really good girl, and I hope that she finds somebody. But Charlie ends up telling her that he knows it was a risky move. He just wanted to at least explore his options. Amaya starts crying, and that's what made me go, oh, because she starts crying because you could tell it's like she feels bad. It's like she feels bad. She knows that she would be betraying her friend, even though you've only really known her for so long. But also you can tell she knows too, and she says it too, like she's in a vulnerable spot too, because she's essentially cutting off a connection that she could be making, which could keep her on the show, first of all. And not only that, who's to say her and Charlie don't have a connection? So she essentially says that too eventually, but he ends up stating that I thought it was just a thing to do because everybody else is getting to know everybody, and I just don't want to shut off any connections that could possibly be there. And her being a good girl and being a good friend, she ends up stating, what did she say? No, I said, Amaya being a good girlfriend, she's down here pretty much taking up and doing Hannah right, while Hannah's upstairs tonguing that nigga down like she don't really care about Charlie. And that's basically what Amaya's pretty much trying to like save Hannah and Charlie's connection when she don't really need to. But Amaya says in her confessionals that Charlie's a great guy. If the story was written differently, maybe she would be open to it, but she's not going to change her morals to do something to a friend that she wouldn't want to be done to her. And she is boo-hoo crying. But she said she believes the right guy will find her. And if it doesn't happen here, it just won't. And I was like, I hate seeing her sad. But Amaya then tells Hannah after they had this conversation about that conversation, but it's now time for the night mingle, which is the final part of the episode. So Taylor ends up pulling Olandria for a chat. He ends up asking her about her connection with Jalen. Again, why are you not talking about what you and her have? Stop asking her about the next nigga. Like, that's how you know. That's how you know it's only a game. It's only game for him. Truthfully, I truly believe that. But she then tells him that Jalen had asked her to kiss, and it was a peck. He high fives her. I mean, it's more effort than you've ever done. So what you high five for? But she ends up stating, like, I'm not secretive with you. I was gonna let you know. But she then tells him too, like, she doesn't like the conversations to start physically, which is why she likes the connection that her and Taylor have, because it didn't start on that physicality. I said it's because he isn't really physically attracted to you, but whatever. But Taylor ends up stating things are going smooth and they're at the place that they're in, which is good because they haven't been that great. And he says, I'm going to just keep doing my shit and keep doing what I need to do for you, and there won't be any problems. And as he's saying this, he's not even looking at her. Telling Amaya and Hannah. Amaya ends up telling her that she had told Charlie that the first thing that she do is tell Hannah about everything that was going on. And Hannah ends up stating that even if she was interested, talking about Amaya, if she was interested in Charlie, it wouldn't change anything between her and Amaya. I was like, well, Amaya, go explore that option. But Hannah then says that her and Pepe are on a surface level. I feel vindicated because I said that shit. She says everything they got going on is surface level. Like, she says her and Charlie have a romantic spark that she's been wanting and looking for. I said, so why are you up there tonguing him down? So if you and Pepe don't have anything going on, but you and Charlie have a romantic spark, which we all know romance is thoughtfulness and just that. What is love? Love, you can describe love in many ways, which in my mind, love also includes physicality, the sexual nature, the making love, the act of love. I consider all of that in one. So if you and Pepe have nothing but surface level shit, why are you so enthralled with him? Why do you want to keep tonguing him down? If there's nothing there, then what do you like? She was lying. She was lying. But she ends up stating that, and she tells Amaya that she really likes Charlie and it feels like she fucked up. And Amaya then tells her essentially go have a conversation with him and go express how you feel. Ace and Iris, they're having a conversation. He ends up asking her, like, what's your usual type? She says nerds are normally her type. And she says that she feels like he is a secret nerd. Of course, Ace says, I am. Do y'all believe it? I don't. He just saying shit. But she then says that she likes how he's making eye contact and asking her questions. And he ends up asking her if she believes in love at first sight or first conversation. Ace is working. He's working. But she then tells him that she believes in fate and she feels herself gravitating towards him. He tells her that he's excited to get to know her. Charlie and Hannah, they're having a conversation. She apologizes because she feels like she's been acting rash, of course, because you just wanted to get you some. But she then tells him that they had a chat and Amaya had came out. She was sad and they had a chat about how Charlie essentially had fucked up. And Charlie then says that he felt like he was losing her, essentially. That's why he was trying to have those conversations with Amaya. And he just wanted to figure out a way, essentially, to, I guess, save himself. But she then tells him that she likes him a lot. And he's like a best friend with a romantic connection. They end up kissing. She didn't tell him about that second kiss that they had. But you claim you so transparent. Okay. But Jeremiah and Huda, they're talking about the challenge. He ends up, and I have to take a deep breath every time I talk about them because it's just a lot. But he ends up stating that he's having fun with the challenges. She says, obviously, I don't like seeing you kiss other girls. He said, you walked over there to see it? Like, he's shocked that she even saw. She was like, fuck yes. Like, because I wanted to see what y'all were over there doing and seeing if y'all was kissing. He said that was a challenge. That was the challenge. She says, no, in the room, you can do whatever you want. She's right. But, like, you doing too much. He says, I'm not just going to stand in there for 20 seconds. You shouldn't because you're on the show. Love Island. Enjoy it and do what Love Island is. But she ends up stating that Cierra and Taylor were over there banging on the door. He says everybody else was kissing. And then she then says that it's not the end of the world. I'm like, exactly. So why are you acting like it is? Like, why? But she then says that she was going to get her lick back. I said, okay, so what's the issue? What's the issue? Like, you. Ooh, but Ariana, she arrives. Thank God. Y'all tell me if y'all liked her outfit. I like the choice. I like the risk. Ariana, her stylist normally always gets it right. I like this. I liked it. It was different. I saw a lot of mixed reviews on social media, but I liked it. Y'all tell me what y'all think. But they knew immediately some shit was about to happen. So they head over to the fire pit and she tells them she got some news for them. She says tonight will be a recoupling, but this is different than we've done before. She tells them that America has been voting on who the Bombshells will be coupling up with. Everybody shook. Mouths dropped. I said, oh, here we go. Huda talking about something, America. God bless America. I said, you better get ready. You better get ready. But she tells them tonight 3 couples will be broken up. And that will leave 3 people single and vulnerable. That's all she said right there. She then reveals, Jalen, you have been voted to be coupled up with who? Olandria. They got the easiest one out of the way first. Easy peasy. Nick and Huda are shocked. I'm like, Huda, you better close your mouth because your mouth about to be on the ground. So it's about to be stuck like Chuck. But Jalen goes over to sit down next to Olandria. Taylor moves over and Jalen puts that arm right around Olandria. I said, I know that's right. But Ariana, she ends up making Taylor come up to stand up there. I said, uh-oh. Somebody about to go home. But Jalen, she asked him how he feels. He feels good. He's happy. Olandria says she's processing everything, but she's excited to explore their connection. Taylor, she asked him, and he says he's hurt. And he says because it's a hard way to get your girl taken from you at the hands of America. I said, is that your girl? Is it really? But Ariana reveals that Pepe has been voted to couple up with Hannah. Y'all fucked up. Should have been Amaya. Like, that was the one vote that was wrong. I'm like, y'all should have voted for Amaya. Like, look what happened. Y'all voted for this couple just for her to essentially tell us that she wants Charlie. Even though that's debatable, but she pretty much told us that she wanted Charlie, but y'all voted her to be with him off of a kiss. Not a conversation. Because the conversation that they had, nothing there. But y'all voted because of that kiss. Okay. But Charlie, he ends up joining Taylor, standing up. Pepe's happy. Hannah is surprised. I don't know why Pepe's happy, because you can see all over her face that she don't know what she want to do. But Charlie said he's all right. He said he and Hannah had an amazing conversation, and he's happy that they had that conversation no matter what happens. I said, oh, this is foreshadow. But Ariana reveals the last one, the one we've been waiting for. Me and my sister was cracking up. Iris has been voted to be coupled up with Jeremiah. We did it. But Huda, everybody's face dropped. Everybody. Huda said, what? What the fuck? I said, be mad. Be mad. Ace, audibly cracking up. That nigga was laughing. I was screaming. Well, yeah, I tell you, I was screaming when he was laughing. He can't stand him. But Iris is sitting there like borderline about to laugh too. She's like, oh my God. But Olandria says she's confused. She said, this is messy. Huda is pissed. Iris goes to sit down next to Jeremiah. You can see Huda, it was taking everything in her to not get up and hit Iris. I said, this chick is crazy. But Huda is sitting there now next to Nick like this. I was like, it's about to get real interesting, because the way they did this was it was chef's kiss. Messy. But Ariana then tells her she's now single and vulnerable, and she needs to go join them standing up there. I said, Jeremiah, you better wake your ass up. This is a wake-up call. Like, you better listen, because we see everything. Well, we don't see everything, but we see what is being shown. But if America is voting this, if it was me in your position, I'd be like, okay, so what the fuck are they seeing that I'm not seeing? Because, come on. But I'd have seen all them signs already. I'm not stupid like Jeremiah. But Iris, she's surprised. Jeremiah ends up saying he has no words. He said he's going to miss laying in the bed, waking up, and going to bed with Huda. Huda says she feels like she got slapped in the face and feels like she's fucked. Ariana says, by who? America? Ariana is messy. And you would know if you watched the After Sun. Ariana is she's on the right side of history. The people that Ariana likes, she's on the right side of history. And she always has been. She was last season too. But she asked Huda that by America. She says, yeah, whoever voted for that, America. But she then says that she felt like they had the best connection there. You know how she is. Ace made a face like, be for real. But Ariana then says, why do you think they voted for this? That's a good question, Ariana. Let's see if she answers it right. But she don't. She says because Iris said she had an interest in Jeremiah. I said, no. That's not why we voted for that. She has more of an interest in Ace than she does any other man there. Like, let's keep it real. And they have probably the strongest connection that she has out of everybody. We just don't like the way that you act. We don't like the way that you act. We don't like the way that you treat him. We don't like the fact that you are so like, you was like that on day one. Day one, we want him to be able to explore other connections. And honestly, even though we made this vote that would put you at odds, I personally would like to at least see you try and open up your own ways and try and get to know other people too. But you're not going to do that. But that's how I feel. But Ariana then says, now that those decisions have been made, wait, have I forgotten everything I said? Yeah. Now that those decisions have been made, it makes these three singles vulnerable. She then tells them, tonight, one of y'all will be going home. That decision is not to America. It's up to the Islanders that were not recoupled. I said, this is going to get good. Because that means Ace and Nick, two vocal ass people, are going to be able to vote. So I was thinking, and I was wondering how they were going to do this, considering it was 2 guys and 1 girl up there. Because, normally when they do the Islander votes, it's usually the boys voting out the girl and the girls voting out the guy, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So I was wondering how this was going to go. And normally one person speaks for the group. Different. So the first person, because everybody was being dramatic when she said that. Everybody was being dramatic, crying. Amaya, Hannah, everybody, Chelley, crying. Amaya was working for her check tonight, though. She was working for her check. Amaya got to stay on the show. But Charlie is now pleading his case. And Ariana is stating that the Islander with the most votes will be dumped immediately. Ariana then asks Cierra to stand up, and it's time for her to vote. She ends up voting to vote out Charlie to be dumped. Nick gets up. Nick is a real nigga. A real wigger. Nick is real. He don't bite his tongue. I respect it. But it's kind of ironic with this coming from Uncle, if you catch what I'm saying. Nick votes to send Huda home, and he says because of the lack of connection, he pretty much said a whole lot of shit that made a lot of sense that he's observed and that we've observed. And he says that. He says, I want Huda to go home, essentially. Austin gets up and votes out Taylor. I said, it's the only nigga up there. We know what that Trump supporter gonna do. But Shelley ends up voting out Charlie. Ace. Ace gets up there and has a whole monologue, boy. A whole monologue. He says, I'm voting out this person because she ain't put her, well, she didn't say she. He was using terms to not give it away. But we already knew who he was talking about, so I already said she. She ain't put her heart out there to multiple people. He says that this person has been so sure of one person. She's been tunnel vision on this person. She's been so clear that this person was their match, so locked in and closed off from day one, and I think it's bullshit. I said, you better say it. He says that he feels like people have hidden agendas around here. You're right. She's definitely, is she one of them? In terms of the game, I don't think Huda has hidden agendas, even though I think she does think that they are the number one couple. But her hidden agenda is she wants Jeremiah to be stepdaddy. Jeremiah wants to win the game. But Ace, you also got hidden agendas. Let's clock that. But but he ain't lying about this. But he then says that he feels like she ain't ready and she hasn't really tried to find love and he don't believe it. I said everything that he's saying, he been dying to say this. Dying to say it. But he votes out Huda, duh. So at this point, the vote is down to Taylor. Taylor's got 1 vote. Charlie's got 2. Huda's got 2. And of course, they leave the most pressing decision to the most emotional, which is Amaya. She got the last vote. She working for her check. The emotions are flowing. So I was like, this would be poetic justice if Amaya was the one to send Huda home after all that first day when she called her every bitch in the book. Imagine how that would have been. But I was like, they not sending Huda home. Because we still got to see Huda's crash out from this. We got to see her crash out from Casa Amor. And we got to see her crash out from movie night. Huda going to be here. She going to be here. That would be stupid to send her home for ratings. Like, you got to keep her here to see the crash outs. But she ends up voting to send out Charlie, which was crazy to me because she was so wanting to protect Hannah just to send Hannah's connection home. I was like, this is crazy. But she said she was doing it based off of recent events, and she voted out Charlie. Hannah is sitting there crying. I said, you can't be crying for no other reason other than yourself, because this is your fault. If you would have left Charlie alone, if you would have left Pepe alone, instead of doing what she was doing on Friday and today, well, not today, but on Friday, America wouldn't have voted the way they voted. They wouldn't have. But you claimed that you was all about Charlie and wanted to be with Charlie. Now you don't get to be with Charlie. You could have been with Charlie. We'll see if you end up leaving with him, but you probably not. But you could leave with Charlie if you really want to. But she's sitting there crying hard, like the dramatics. But Pepe, I said, you better take that as a sign. She don't want you. Better go get to know Amaya. But Charlie has been dumped from the island. We get a sneak peek for tomorrow, and we got the fallout. Everybody's crying. Olandria is like, what are they seeing that we ain't seeing? You know what we saw, Olandria. You ain't stupid. But we get Ace versus Jeremiah. I was shocked Jeremiah was actually coming back at Ace. Because Jeremiah has given me punk vibes, like pussy vibes. Like he ain't really standing for shit. But he was giving Ace the energy back. And tomorrow going to be a messy ass fucking episode. And I can't wait. I can't wait. But if y'all got this far and haven't already thumbs up the video, please do that for me. Also, if you've gotten this far and haven't subscribed already, what are you doing? Click it now. Click it now. And drop a comment down below. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Share the video, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. What is this? 47 minutes? Yeah, we talked. Ha!